Now, I want to talk about the 60 Minutes show that I watched last night. Unfortunately, we don't actually have any sound because I guess my guys didn't think about it in time. But if you want to hear for yourself or watch for yourself, just go to the 60 Minutes website. They have their most recent show up there. It's the first segment, so you don't have to sit through the entire 60 Minutes because it's the first one that they do. And it's on the fraud in disability. And of course, we know that it is replete with fraud, right? Because anything the government does is going to be susceptible to fraud. That's why we don't want the government doing this stuff. I don't want the government having a disability program. Eliminate it. I'd rather have private charities take care of the truly disabled. And not just private charities, but people's family members, people's friends, because people aren't going to rip off their friends and family members, right? If you're not really disabled, you're not going to fake it, right? In order to con your family members into helping you out, right? And I also don't think private charities are likely to fall for a con. But when the government is involved, it's rip-off city. Everybody wants to rip off the government because who the hell are they? It's just a faceless government. You don't even see your victims. Your taxpayers are so far removed from the crime that nobody cares. And the government doesn't care. The government workers don't care. What the hell do they care? It's not their money, right? It's not like it's a private charity where they actually had to work to raise the money. The government just takes the money, right? They put a gun to everybody's head and collect the taxes. They don't care. So it's always going to be a ripoff. I mean, you can't get away from it. But obviously, with the weakness in the economy, and they even point this out in the 60 Minutes piece, the number of people on disability has exploded over the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, absolutely exploded, right? Because of the economy. Now, this is not a coincidence, but clearly, if you have an explosion in disability claims, it's not because we have an explosion in disability. There's no correlation between disability and a weak economy. Just because the economy is weak doesn't mean people suddenly become physically disabled. But the motivation to file a false a false claim, to pretend you're disabled, is certainly elevated at a time where the employment opportunities are diminishing. And so you have an environment where you would expect a lot more fraud, and that's exactly what we're getting. We're getting a lot of fraud. And remember, too, the people that are collecting disability, they're not counted as being unemployed, even though that's the reason that they're on disability. In fact, the only disability that they have is that they can't find a job. But because they've exhausted their unemployment benefits, they can't apply for those anymore, so they have to go on disability. But that's great for Obama. He wins twice. One, now he's got a voter who's bought and paid for, who will keep voting for the Obama gravy train. But now that unemployed person is no longer in the unemployment statistics. So it doesn't look as bad for the president because hey, look, the unemployment rate is coming down. Sure, because the disability rate is going up, but no one talks about that, right? So Obama found a way to pay unemployment claims to people who are unemployed without them being counted as being unemployed, so it doesn't look as bad. But this particular 60 Minutes piece went over all the fraud, and they visited a couple of these good old boy lawyers. And, the problem is, too, when you want to file a phony disability lawsuit, because you applied for disability and you were turned down because you're not disabled, and now you have to hire a lawyer, right, who's going to get you the disability that you're entitled to, the government has to pay your legal bills, which is the taxpayer. So now we lose twice. We lose because some guy who's not disabled gets disability for life, and we got to pay his corrupt lawyer who dummied up his application so he can get qualified. These lawyers are making millions of dollars, and you know what they do with some of their millions? They use it to bribe the doctors on their payroll who falsify the disability claims. And of course, according to some of the people who were interviewed, the claim, it's borderline whether they're even false, because just about anything counts as a disability. Yeah, my back is bothering me. God, who doesn't have back pains every once in a while? I get lower back pains. Oh, my back, my aching back. I can't work. Oh, my God. Stress. Gosh, man, work stresses me out. Yeah, work stresses everybody else out. That's why you get paid for it. Right? If it wasn't stressful, they wouldn't pay you. If it was fun and enjoyable, well, then you would pay them, right? When you want to go and play golf, I guess, well, there's some stress there, but you pay to play. They don't pay you to show up at the golf course. So if you're getting paid to work, hey, a little stress, hey, that's part of the deal. But if you're going to say, God, I'm stressed out here. I'm disabled. I got too much stress. I'm depressed. Yeah, going to work depresses me. I'd rather just take a vacation. I'd rather be at home with my kids. God, it is so depressing that I have to go to work. Oh, no, I'm disabled. I suffer from depression, chronic fatigue. God, I'm always tired. Yeah, maybe because you're out so late at night getting drunk and partying that you're too tired to wake up and go to work. So now you got a disability. And, of course, you probably have all sorts of disabilities, alcoholism. Yeah, I drink too much. I party too much. So I'm disabled. Give me my disability check. And, people, they made a big deal on 60 Minutes that, well, it's not that much money. It's only $1,100 a month. Yeah, it's $1,100 a month in addition to all the other government benefits they rack up. Food stamps, free medical, housing vouchers, you name it. They parlay it. And meanwhile, they don't have to work.